Since the beginning of time, when men and women hunted and gathered food for their families, food safety, even if they didn't know it consciously at the time, has been critically important. We found new lands, discovered new trading routes, and early ways to globalize food trade. And then science came along with increasing discoveries. We discovered how to put food into cans, how to heat foods and then cool them rapidly to preserve them. Then we worked out how diseases, or some of them, were transmitted. In the mid-1800s, physician John Snow's work showed how cholera could spread through contaminated water in London, and began the science of epidemiology. Thanks to Louis Pasteur, milk was eventually pasteurized, and Robert Koch broke new ground in the world of microorganisms. Farming became mechanized, needing less people and more machines, and the speed of discoveries and new ways of production got faster and more efficient. And as the way our food was produced changed, so did the need for new rules and regulations, and the governments got more involved. The Codex Alimentarius Commission was established by the FAO and WHO to develop harmonized international food standards. World communications got quicker, and so did the way we move food around the globe. When we started to go into space, food on Earth got even safer, as the testing we did for the astronauts made a difference to us all.
Pillsbury's earlier involvement with U.S. Army labs in Natick, Massachusetts began in 1959, and it was really there that the seeds for HACCP were planted. I think that NASA approached Pillsbury to form this team because they really needed the microbiological expertise. But it turned out to be a great idea and an excellent collaboration because that team fostered the embryonic development of the HACCP system. Of course, the overriding concern for NASA was that if a food poisoning incident occurred during a space mission, it could have catastrophic consequences to the point of actually destroying the mission.
And of course, there's been the unexpected, the tragic, and new advances in science and methods of production. Food had to be kept fresh for longer as the global food economy grew, increasing the complexity of the supply chain. Our eating habits changed with a cultural shift away from eating at home. Testing got more sophisticated and results far quicker to report. But the dangers grew, and when BSE and cattle crossed into humans as new variant CJD, the results shocked us all.
The images of young people in hospital beds suffering from new variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease and the speculation that the number of people who could be affected might be as high as 500,000 created a great deal of concern with the public. And I think there was a feeling that, although they didn't fully understand it, somehow their trust had been betrayed. Consumers really assumed that the authorities had been doing their job properly and had been looking after their interests. There was a significant impact on the industry. We know that around 180,000 animals succumbed to the disease, but well over 4 million animals were slaughtered. And over that period and to date, around 176 people in the UK have succumbed to new variant Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease.
The effects of dangerous food and poor practices were sometimes so tragic, they changed the world of food safety forever.
There were over 800 people that were made ill, 4 children died, and especially with the strain of E. coli that was involved with this, which was especially infective, about 80 to 100 people had really lifelong injuries, which, to this day, some deal with dialysis, kidney problems, neurological problems, digestive system, GI tract problems, because of how aggressively this bacteria attacked them. My really first 2 jobs were to take a look at their procedures and process to make sure we could control it at the restaurant level, and at the same time get them a new ground beef supplier. And we started changing things at the restaurant level. First thing obviously was cooking temperatures. Second thing was handling procedures. But we had to change basically everything. Believe it or not, when the outbreak happened, California had no reportability for E. coli 0157 and had no minimum cooking temperatures. We regulate which side of the sidewalk you walk on, in California. Come on. But we didn't do that. You could have served a kid a blood red hamburger and he would have been perfectly fine.
The wake-up calls of this and other outbreaks led to HACCP standards, greater national regulations, and zero tolerance.
We embarked on a rulemaking process to establish comprehensively the requirement through HACCP that firms systematically prevent problems. But an important foundation for that was establishing the principle that focusing in on the particular pathogen that was involved in the Jack-in-the-Box outbreak, E. coli 015787, we established the principle that the presence of that bacteria in raw ground beef violates the basic adulteration provisions of the law. It's not lawful to sell ground beef contaminated that way.
There are ever more reasons for us all to work together. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's PulseNet allowed for fingerprinting of foodborne disease-causing bacteria to detect and define what makes people sick. And GFSI was born to harmonize food safety management schemes and pursue continuous improvements in food safety across frontiers. And as we all know, there's a lot more to do. And the world of food safety in which we all live and work changes ever faster. Today, there's an estimated 2 billion cases of foodborne disease annually, affecting 1/3 of the global population, and 1.8 million deaths due to contaminated food and water. We can do better. No, we must do better.
Remember that food safety is at a crossroad. The next big outbreak could be right around the corner. Our decisions and our choices matter. We can choose to maintain the status quo or to accelerate prevention practices, advance the safety of the global food supply, and improve the quality of life for consumers around the world. Let's choose wisely.